because this is what really makes the difference. Let me just like, so we talked about challenges. So let's talk about the root cause a little bit. Hormones, I feel like every single doctor, no matter what kind of doctor you go to, should be talking about hormones because it affects everything in your body. Like temperature, I'm always freezing. Okay, so if my doctor had known that when I was younger, they probably would have tested my thyroid at a younger age, because usually if you're super cold, your thyroid's a little bit off. Okay, so it's really interesting that kind of they talk about hormones as like the woman doctor, right? The OBGYN, but it's like your endocrine system is so much more than what they're trained in, right? But it's like you're craving your sugar, like weight management, digestion, your moods, all of it. It's so interconnected, like everything, like how your happiness, right? Like dopamine, your serotonin, like all of it. And women are more vulnerable than men are with hormones. Okay, there's two different reasons for that. Men and women both have 24-hour like circadian rhythm, right? But men, their hormonal cycle is also 24 hours. So if your partner is male and they can put their head in the pillow and pass out, and you're tossing and turning all night, is because their body is set up for that. So what is corporate America set up as? 24. Yep, 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
That's how they can kind of do that. And then we've been trying to like fit in, right? And I have lots of clients and friends that have endometriosis. So when they get their period, like they literally cannot get out of bed, right? So a lot of them are business owners because they can't call out of work that often, right? So a lot of it is like we are more vulnerable, and a lot of it is too with cortisol and our thyroid. So many more women are diagnosed with thyroid conditions than men are, and it's that chronic stress where we're no longer being chased by lions and tigers. We're being chased by texts, emails, phone calls. Anytime your phone like rings or dings, your cortisol level alerts, right? So, and we're never just doing one thing. Does anyone just do one thing all day? Like I will have a conversation with my husband, and then he'll ask me 20 minutes later. I'm like, he's like, oh, but I was thinking about work. I'm like, okay, yeah, but I'm not repeating myself, so yeah. Figure it out. But it's like our brains are wired very differently as well. Like we know that multitasking is not good. Like the research has come out, but our brains are like so deeply wired for multitasking, which I think is really affecting just our day-to-day, how we like move through the day. I really do. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest ones. But that circadian rhythm and our hormonal cycles, because also your cycle 1 month can be 24 days. And the next one will be 27 days. You might ovulate at different times. I think the biggest misconception is that everybody has a 28-day cycle, that you ovulate on day 14, right? Is everyone else told that? And all the period apps are that way too, unless you're like really charting really well and you're doing your basal body temperature, you're tracking cervical mucus. So I think a lot of it is like us understanding our bodies more, and then like bringing that and asking questions to doctors. But I think because every day our hormones are different, we do feel different every single day, which in a way is kind of cool. We're going to talk about working with your cycle, but another way, like, I could do this 2 days ago, and now my brain is like flatlined. I can't do anything. So these are kind of what I hear the most in terms of like what people are experiencing. So you don't have to tell me, but which one is which. But is anybody feeling like more than one of these? Okay. More than 3? If you need your glasses, you can put them on. This is kind of like what I hear like the most. I would say out of all of them, excessive hair loss seems to be like coming up more recently with my clients. And I haven't seen the research yet about like COVID. I know that I had COVID and I lost a bunch of hair. I don't know like the long-term effects, but I've definitely noticed post-COVID that increasing a lot with my clients, like more like hair loss, especially like eyebrow, which can also be like a thyroid thing, like the ends of your eyebrows as they get really thin. But so like I'm curious to see like what comes out in the next few years between like the hormones and the COVID and like what kind of was changing, because so many, like the periods, we know that COVID affects your period, but like the long-term effects of it. But this is kind of like what here the most. This does, there are like 150 different signs of imbalance. So if yours is not on there, it doesn't mean that it's not. Not to like make everybody think there's more things going on. But what I can kind of hear mostly is this. And I studied under Dr. Sarah Gottfried, and she did this survey, and I thought it was really, really fascinating about like most of us are living like without enough energy. Just sad. Because we have a lot going on, we have a lot to accomplish. Sex drive, like most of my clients' libido is gone. And I think that's many different things, like obviously hormonal, but like also work stress, you have kids, if like your parent, you take care of your parents, like there's so many different elements of that. Better mood. So it's not just you. I think a lot of times when we don't feel good, we think like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? Everyone else is great. Like, I should be fine. Like, I just have to like push a little bit more. I want you to think opposite, less pushing. You want to like think about going with the flow. I know that's hard. I'm a type A. Trying to be a B. Somebody the other day was like, just try to be a B student. Actually a really cool example. I don't know how to do that, but that's good. But I just think there's lots of different things going on, but I think it's important to like not take that on as if we're doing something wrong. I think that's really, really key for mental health, but also our physical health, right? Our body hears what we say or what we think, so it's really important to kind of really be in tune with that. I love baby boss. Boss babies are. We're gonna start with cortisol because I swear. Because I call it the bitchy bossy hormone. And I think it's like we can poke fun at it, okay? But the hormone boss, right? Cortisol is in charge of everything. So your body will do anything to stay alive. Yeah, take screenshots. Show the partner. Your body would do anything to stay alive. Okay, so back in the day, like I mentioned, right, we were being chased by lions and tigers. We could literally run sometimes and get away from the animals, right? Now we're being chased differently. However, our body doesn't know the difference. Okay, and like internally, right? Mentally, yes. Internally, our body doesn't know the difference. So cortisol will steal from progesterone. Progesterone is your calming hormone. Okay. After ovulation, that's when your progesterone kicks in and it goes nice and high. And then if you're pregnant, it keeps going. If you're not pregnant, it drops. And that's kind of like flat line when you like estrogen, progesterone, flat line when you get your period. So because it's your calming hormone, why do you think so many of us like feel irritable and moody? For stress, it's stealing from that hormone and it will do that to keep you going. Yes.
So does that like if you had a problem with your cortisol, would that make those mood swings worse like relating to your period?
100%.
Like that?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So what I always tell my clients is if you get your period tomorrow, you want to look at the past 3 months of what was happening leading up to that period. It's not just what happens a month before. It's like the 3 months lead up to how you actually feel when you get your period, right? So we're going to talk about what happens after the holidays in a second, because this is where I think most of us are like, oh yeah. Yes.
I'm actually getting tested for PCOS.
Okay.
How does that fall into like cortisol levels?
That's key for any hormonal imbalances, especially PCOS, because your body's even a little bit more insulin resistant, and cortisol and your blood sugar kind of like work together. So with PCOS, like managing your blood sugar is one of the insulin resistance, and managing that is like so important. And when your cortisol let me go backwards. So when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol rises, and cortisol is not bad. okay, we need cortisol to like get out of bed, do whatever we need to do to get going in the morning, okay? And then in the evening, it's supposed to go down so we can like fall asleep, and get a good night's sleep. What's happening is it's going up and down all day. And what happens when that goes up and down, your blood sugar also goes up and down. So you start craving more sugar, you need to eat more food because you're not as satisfied, and like this up and down imbalance not only affects your hormones, but like all disease. So like diabetes, a lot of like pre-diabetic or diabetes runs in your family, you know, it's the same thing, like heart disease, or even saying like, you've got to get that blood sugar balanced, which is why I feel like so many people are talking more about like the importance of like the blood sugar and everything, but especially with PCOS, that insulin resistance part is definitely affected by cortisol. Which is hard because all of us have stress. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it because I have stress, like we all have stress, right? It's just your body's a little bit more sensitive to it, so then it can like affect that. I'm not saying this is no PCOS because there are different types of PCOS as well. And you can ask me questions after too, but I'm curious like how they're like what they're doing in terms of testing.
It's kind of just like the start of it.
Okay.
I had an IUD for almost 5 years, and as soon as I got off of that, she told me I couldn't go on the pill that I used to be on before that, because I got a migraine diagnosis in between. And so I can't have estrogen, I guess, so I have to have progesterone, that's what it is only. And, I've just been having like awful periods and cysts all the time, like every 3 months I have.
Okay.
Ultrasound and I'm gonna take it
Okay.
instead of like there's any kind of it's
So the other thing to think about too is anytime you come off of any birth control, and I know there's different types of birth control, but like many of them act just the same way as antibiotics do. They kind of like ruin the gut. So a lot of times people come off of birth control and it's more that they just need a nutrient dense diet to kind of like come back on, get the hormones back online, especially the zinc and all of the things that you might not have been like absorbing correctly. And then a lot of times, like I see a lot of times people getting misdiagnosed. It's like kind of like they used to call it post-pill PCOS. They're not calling that anymore. But that kind of makes the most sense in a way. That like the symptoms mimic that. So definitely start there, but definitely ask questions with your doctor about like, and they might not know, but it'll be interesting to see.
I've been thinking of switching to a different doctor because I feel like it's kind of just like rushed in and out and nothing's really being answered.
And then when you're on birth control, no matter what kind of birth control, except the copper IUD, like you're stopping ovulation and your body can only make progesterone. All the other things in birth control are not the real progesterone. So you're still not getting like the calming hormone, which is why a lot of times people don't feel as good being on birth control because they're not getting like that high progesterone that calming.
Honestly, I just want to get off of all of it, but she is telling me that I can't do that because that's what's keeping it under control. PCOS, if that's what I do have, so.
It depends, some people like, there are some people that like do okay with birth control. I'm not gonna slam it because it's not like, it's like any medication out there, right? Like some people really can be beneficial, but for most women, not necessarily like the reason why why it's happening. A lot of times it's just the Band-Aid, and then when people go off of it, they're like, oh my God, what happened? Because your body's not having that natural cycle, right? And there's if you're trying to get pregnant or not get pregnant, like there's other ways to do that are a little bit more like in your body. Yeah, but yes, there are definitely doctors.
Other ways.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely look into like functional medicine doctors and like naturopathic doctors who have more training on that, for sure, versus like traditional doctors. They don't have the same training. Yeah. And they get no training on nutrition.
I have a functional
pregnant too. My friend went to her for a long time, but she couldn't get pregnant for a long time, and she did what the doctor said, and now she has a baby. So, and that was all
Yeah.
she's been really cool. And she did my cortisol, and I have like chronic low cortisol, like,
Okay.
cause I couldn't wake up, like, and I was like, be wired at like 10:30. I'm
Mhm.
still this way. And I'd be like, what is wrong with me? Like, I sleep through my alarm, I can't get anywhere on time. It was so frustrating because I'm very type A, and so I was like, I'm lazy, like I was very like, I just have to push harder. And she was like, no, she was like, you literally have chronic low cortisol from stress, like, it's not your fault.
No, not at all.
Your body just is like crashing at night and then it doesn't wanna wake back up.
And it's a good point because low cortisol and high cortisol sometimes have the same exact symptoms. So a lot of times women think that they have high cortisol, but the thing is, if you're in this high cortisol for a long time, eventually you're gonna run out.
Yeah.
And it's gonna become low. So I think a lot of times too, it's like, well, where am I? What's going on? And like, if you're curious about cortisol, the best way to test that is saliva, like a 24-hour saliva test. Is that what you did?
No, she actually just in my blood.
Oh, okay. Because then you can like do that for 24 hours. You can actually see like when it's spiking, when it's low. And that's really important when you're trying to kind of make like more like lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
The ZRT is one that you can order yourself.
ZRT.
Yep, ZRT, and then there is the Dutch test that you can just get the cortisol, or your doctor might be able to order it for you, and through insurance, they might have another one that they can do, but that's what I would recommend, if you're trying to like really figure this out, because thank you for bringing it up, because it's very similar, and it's so hard when we're not feeling our best and we know it, and then that negative self-talk comes in, and like that makes us more stressed.
Yeah.
Right? So it's good that we're talking about this, but yeah, like cortisol your body will do anything to keep you alive. Remember that? So cortisol will keep you alive, but it will definitely like have different effects, like thyroid, and that usually is one of those things. Really monitor your thyroid through all of this too. Yeah.
She said that, she was like, we have to watch your thyroid because this is chronic, so she was like, if you can get this other thing, if we can work on it, then maybe you won't develop a thyroid problem, but if this does not improve, then it's likely you'll develop a thyroid issue, so you need to work through it, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Freak me out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think it's like, why are more and more women getting diagnosed with thyroid conditions, right? Like, our lifestyle is not slowing down at all. Unless we like consciously like stop it, right? Which is also hard to do. All right, so we talked about stress. I think the biggest thing to think about with cortisol is I call it the 3 S's. So what happens first? You're stressed and you crave sugar and then you can't sleep, or you're not sleeping, craving sugar, and then feeling stressed. It's usually all at the same time, right? Sugar is the quickest form of energy. So your body's gonna do whatever it takes to keep you alive. So we're gonna do that, right? But just really thinking about that relationship, I think is important, because you're gonna feel more sugar, you're gonna feel more carby cravings, you're gonna like feel this constant hunger, which is what I notice when I'm stressed. Like I can't stop eating. Like I can eat like healthy food, but I like need more and more and more of it to kind of keep me feeling a little bit like grounded in that sense. So that's also stress, right? But the biggest thing too is the sleep. 2 things. You might be able to fall asleep and wake up at 3 a.m, wide awake, ready to go, which is so annoying. You get back to bed at 5 and the house is up at 7 or earlier, or you cannot fall asleep. I actually don't know what's worse. I've experienced both. I think they're both horrible. But so many of us are not getting into like that deep sleep that we like desperately need. And then we all know yoga is great, acupuncture. What I would like all to think about is the first 2. How can we say no more? That's a hard one, right? Some people look at me like, no, don't tell me that. But how do we say no more? Something that's super easy is like, that sounds great, let me look at my calendar and I'll get back to you. And then you can decide if you wanna go or not. And we're gonna talk about working with your cycle in a second, because then you'll be like, oh, I'm in my luteal phase, I know I'm gonna cancel, I'm gonna just like tell them, let's pick another date. Delegate more. To everybody and everything in your life. Okay, my husband does all the cooking now. All you do, and he loves it, and I was like, good for you, it like helps relieve his stress, awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. And now I'm like, laundry. That's great. But I think a lot of times we don't even ask for like what we need, I think it's like, just, you know, unfortunately, just like ingrained in society in a way, like, so delegate, like, give as much as you can, try to like clear. Not everything, obviously there's certain things that we need to do, but like, I think these are two important things that we don't talk about enough when it comes to stress. And this is what stresses me out the most, is when I have way too much on my plate. Out of anything in my life, like, and I'm like, feel overwhelmed, and then I like get stuck and I can't do anything. Right? Deep breathing is also amazing. Taking time for me is lately taking a shower and going to the bathroom before my kids wake up. I just started doing this a few weeks ago because I'm like, something has to change. I just need to poop by myself. Okay, being real. But I feel like I have cut my stress down because I have time for myself. I'm working in other things to do that, but like, start small. I thought that was a good start. I have a morning evening routine. It's definitely not as beautiful as it used to be, but I do take time. The morning was hard, that was hard for me. The evening, just really unwinding. A lot of times, working until the very last second and then expecting yourself to fall asleep. Doesn't really work out that way. So work whatever that is. I love reading romance novels at night. So I fall asleep. I usually fall asleep with the book open and my husband trying to play off. It's great. But it like rewires your brain. Walking is great. Get off your phone. If you sleep with your phone, out of the bedroom, put it in a desk drawer, turn it on airplane mode, turn your whole house, turn the Wi-Fi off the whole house, all the things. Acupuncture, yoga are great. Strength training is also really good as well. Just movement. I always am like, walk it out, walk it out, walk it out anytime I feel stressed. That really seems to like help. Magnesium. Who takes magnesium? Awesome. Okay. It is the anti-stress mineral. It is life changing. If everyone's like, what's the number one supplement you would never live without? Magnesium. There's so many different types of magnesium, but just really focusing on like dark leafy greens, like pumpkin, sesame seeds, avocados, all the things. A supplement can help. I take it every night before I go to bed. I find it helps me fall asleep, but it gets me into that deep restorative sleep. That's like really what helps detoxify your body, organs and everything. But I think honestly, everything I've talked about, saying no, delegating, magnesium. Top 3 things. See? Obviously, there's other hormones, way more than what's on here, but like your thyroid obviously affects metabolism, energy, estrogen, progesterone. The thing with progesterone too that I don't think we talk enough about is it's not just for having babies. For longevity, it helps lower your blood pressure. It helps with heart disease. It helps with your bone health with estrogen. So that's another thing with like, if you're on birth control for a long time, your body's not creating this progesterone. It only gets created when you ovulate. So that's super key for just like longevity, which is I think is something that like I wish we had all known way back in the day when like everybody was on birth control, whether you like actually needed it or not. And a lot of us are just like missing this. So no wonder why we don't feel good and we're irritable and moody, right? It kind of makes sense now, right? When you like look at that. All right, so let's talk about our cycle a little bit. So I just wanted to kind of share like what's kind of happening hormonally, so you can kind of like see, feel free to screenshot this as well too. So day 1 of your cycle is the first day of your period. Okay, and that starts the follicular phase. Now the follicular phase basically is your estrogen going higher and higher and higher until ovulation, right? And you've got some testosterone in there, and then your FSH, right, to make those follicles. But what is interesting is you can kind of see, I think like, just to wrap your brain around this, like I think this is super interesting because your energy doesn't like just automatically go from like 0 to 100 once you like get your period, right? So think a lot of times like, oh, my period's over, I should be feeling fine. It takes a while to kind of like get to that peak again when we're ovulating. And this is the ovulation time. Again, this happens, it can happen at different days each cycle. Average 12 to 18 days, but that doesn't, some people ovulate in day 11, some people ovulate in day 21, right? Everyone's different. And then you ovulate, right? Your estrogen goes down, and that's when your progesterone goes up. And then when you get your period, everything flatlines. Like, do you see how like, it's like flat? No wonder why we need to nest and rest, warm blanket, cup of tea. This is how you're feeling. Okay? Right, you're flat. But this is so important because like when now you know why you feel that way. Okay, your progesterone's keeping you calm, your estrogen's helping you feel a little sexy, right? Flat. Society wants you to push through, live the way that you are living all the time when your body is like, I need to do nothing. Okay. The good news is that you're gonna go back up again, right? You're not gonna stay flat.
So I have a question. This is like ideal, right?
Yes, obviously.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
And even my period, sometimes I'm like, I just wanted to come because I'm gonna feel better. Like,
Yes.
now granted, I still want, like, I can live in a heat. Like, I want that, I want
Yeah,
the
me
tea,
too.
but I'm also like, man, I feel better. Like,
Yeah.
more, I'm not as moody. I am like exhausted the week before.
Yeah, I think that you're probably not getting the estrogen rise.
Yeah.
And you're probably, I'm not assuming, but
Right,
if you're ovulating, right, you're gonna get that progesterone, even if it's like not gonna go as high, depending on lifestyle and stuff like that. You're still, if you ovulate, you're still gonna get that surge,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But you might not be getting that high of a increase with your estrogen. So it makes sense that you're gonna not feel your best.
And every month is new.
Yeah, and every month is so different, yeah, so like, yes, this is like
The most
textbook,
ideal. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
but this is like not like
The norm.
well, common, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Cause everything's normal,
Yeah.
everything's normal,
Yeah.
yes. But yeah, but I think it's interesting to kind of see, cause I think a lot of times we're like, well, why do I feel super, like, why is my libido off? Okay, if you're not getting the estrogen rise, and or if you're not getting the testosterone rise either, of course you're not gonna feel like sexy, right? So I think it's like really interesting to kind of just like see what happens throughout the cycle and like what happens too in, or I am in my life right now, I'm gonna be 45. FSH, your follicle stimulating hormone starts getting really wonky as we get older too. And this can get overstimulating, which is why fraternal twins are more common for women 40 plus, FYI. If you want twins, awesome. If you're not looking at it's fraternal, not identical. You can start dropping 2 eggs when you ovulate because your FSH starts getting really wonky during that phase. Yeah, just to kind of keep that on the back burner.
So do you
Yeah.
ovulate when your estrogen drops?
Nope,
Is that
it's at the
something?
peak and then it
okay.
drops. Yeah.
Cause like the line of ovulation is like. right
Yeah, cause
there.
this is like the typical, so like you ovulate and then it goes down.
Oh.
Yeah, like it's at its peak and then it starts going down.
Okay.
Yeah. And then that's when, so you never not have estrogen. I think that's also a misconception. Okay, You might hear like estrogen dominant a lot. Migraines is usually what comes up with that when people are estrogen dominant. So you could have a cycle where your estrogen is higher than your progesterone. So even though you're getting a progesterone surge, if you're estrogen dominant, you could be, that's why you're gonna feel worse during your second phase, because you're not getting that progesterone surge, and your estrogen is higher than your progesterone when you test it. Yeah, and that's very, very, very common.
Other than like headaches, what are some other like signs that you would think, oh man, that estrogen must be greater than my progesterone?
Extreme bloating, lots of digestive issues, very, very tender breasts.
Okay. Yeah, there.
Migraines, headaches, really, really bad PMS. Like a lot of women that experience PMDD, which is extreme PMS, are all pretty much estrogen dominant. Yeah. I'm trying to think like what weight. It's hard to like have weight management when you're like feeling estrogen dominant too. Yeah. Because the progesterone, that ratio is really, really important. Yeah, you always want your progesterone to be higher than your estrogen in the second phase.
So how do we support our progesterone?
Lots of things.
Let me see what I can erase that.
Yes. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna dive into that, okay? So what we wanna think about with our cycle is working with the seasons, okay? So right now we're in the winter time, okay? So what do you wanna do right now? Besides hang out with me? Rest. Cuddle, just do nothing. That's when you have your period. Yeah. Okay. And then when we head into the spring, almost ovulation, right? Like it feels like a little sporadic, right? Like some days it's 70, some days it's 50, right? The last 2 days. But you're starting to like come back into your body, right? Then summer. I love the summer. It's like my favorite. I always felt my best. When I was dating, I felt like dating was always amazing in the summer. Never want to do it any other time of the year. But I loved it. So this is like the peak. This is the shortest phase of your cycle. Right? If you need a new pair of jeans, when you're ovulating, okay. Obviously, yeah. But this is like when you want to like.
I've experienced that,
Just not this time. And then we're heading into the fall, right? We're starting to crave more like warm cooked foods, more like feeling more introverted. This is when you're gonna cancel all your plans. So this is like the luteal phase. And I also want to introduce deep luteal. So luteal, you ovulate, you head into the luteal, right? Like your progesterone is coming up, your estrogen is going down. But then your deep luteal is like that 3 to 4 days before your period arrives, where your hormones really start dipping and like you really start craving like more alone time and just like being cuddled up. Yeah.
Related to period, sorry, so I wanted to ask something. Are you anti-tampons? Are they bad?
No.
Yeah. I see all the stuff that they could like, you're wearing it and chemicals are releasing, so you need to use a cup or whatever, but I've heard that the cups can hurt when you're putting it in, and I already am hurting when I'm on my period, so I'm like, why do I wanna use something that's gonna double the pain, you know,
Yeah.
but then I'm like, oh, but there's chemicals in my body.
So I use tampons. I just get the organic cotton ones.
Okay, so you do use that.
I do. I'm hoping it's better. I just can't. Right. Say it, the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I tried the Tika cups.
Yes.
I did not like them, but I have clients like swear like they're the best
Really?
thing ever.
And they don't hurt them?
I feel like everyone's different, right? There's different sizes too.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
They haven't really freaked me out.
Try to experiment. Anything I'm gonna recommend, I like to experiment with, and I felt like I was always afraid it was gonna spill it on me.
Yes.
So I put it in and out in the shower.
Yeah.
But I have friends that like swear by it.
Okay.
People love period underwear, which again, there's a huge controversy about.
I just heard about that. People wear that, so do you wear that your entire period? Like,
So some people do,
even in public?
yep, I wear it at night.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, so
Does it-
I find it helps me sleep better when I have my period, knowing I have my period underwear on, because I'm not afraid I'm gonna like leak through my tampon.
Does it, so do you wear a tampon and?
Yes. Yeah, but I have clients that just wear period underwear. I have clients that like cloth pads. Like there's so many different things that you can use. I'm like, use what you feel comfortable using.
Okay.
Okay, we're gonna try to reduce our exposure to toxins as much as we can, but also be comfortable.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
this is the hard thing about even what I'm talking about today, because at the end of the day, I want you to eat more protein, eat more vegetables, have more healthy fats, keep your blood sugar balanced, and like your cortisol, right? This is getting into more kind of like things, but the same thing with that, right? Do what you can do that feels good in your body. Yeah, so don't be afraid to, I use them. Not saying you should, but.
I do too, it's the most easy, but I'm reading all this stuff. Oh my gosh.
Well, that's the thing, like there's information overload.
Like
right?
she said, it's just like, what is true? Like,
Yeah.
I don't.
I think everything has a truth in it. Right? We can't,
Yeah.
like, there's nothing in this world where there's not some sort of,
Yeah.
not nothing, maybe like there's 1% of things that like. But in general, right? So, okay, when you have your period, okay, this is something I want you all to think about. When you get your period next, think of me. What color is your period? Okay, what consistency is your period? Are you getting lots of clots? Okay, that's estrogen dominance, when you get clotty bone.
Yeah.
It's not scary, there's things you can do to help you, but
Yeah.
that's something to be mindful about, so it looks like mashed up blueberries, yeah, estrogen, okay? If it's brown, it's usually low progesterone, or old blood, it depends on when it comes in your
I'm
cycle.
getting it at the very
Okay.
Yeah, is that normal?
Everything's normal. No, just joking. Yes, it can happen, it just depends on like the color and the consistency, like, it can be like the red cranberry color we're looking for and be a little clotty. But if it's like the mashed up blueberry,
That's the color is blueberry color?
But,
like a. The consistency is, but it's like a dark, it's like dark,
Yeah.
blood,
Yeah,
it's not the bright cranberry color. Like, that's the things you wanna like, kinda like. Yeah, yeah.
Picture.
Picture this one from you guys, like. But that's what you wanna like really, really pay attention to, is that. Obviously, if you're experiencing any of the like PMS symptoms, also like.
Heavy flow, is that another one?
Yes. Yeah, the heavy, like if you're going through a tampon every hour, you know, all of these things, like. Changing your diet actually will lessen the heavy flow.
Be amazing.
Yeah. This, and I put these stars because like, you may experience this, but like, if you're having a really healthy cycle, you will not experience this. And you can get there, I promise you. It's gonna take time, it's definitely not an overnight thing, there's many layers to it. But think like lots of warm cooked foods, like you're in winter, right? Warm cooked foods and walking. Deep stretching, like hip stretches sometimes feel good. If you have a Theragun or a foam roller, like massage your body. But this is this time. Now, winter, okay? Did anyone's period feel different in January?
Mine felt better.
Oh.
Yeah, interesting.
Mine did too.
I wonder if did you take breaks from work? Did you have a little bit more downtime?
Well, I changed jobs.
Oh, okay, so you had like a little bit time in between things?
Yeah.
Less stress?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that, okay. Yeah. So this time of year, usually it's like January to March, my clients say that like their periods feel a little bit off. Because it's right, remember, 3 months ahead of time changes what happens, but it's also the less daylight and the less vitamin D. And there's actually research on this, like I'm not just like Then again, that follicular phase, right? More energy. This is when you're, as that's rising, right? Especially follicular phase is day 1 of your period cycle till ovulation. So like closer you get to ovulation, you're gonna feel like more high intensity workouts feel really good. Like you could go to a spin class on day like, I don't know, 11, 12, feel amazing. Same instructor, day 21, 22, it'll be like going through quicksand, okay? So be mindful of when you're exercising and how your brain talks to you. Be kind to yourself. You can go to the class, but just know it's gonna feel different and you're not gonna judge yourself. Lots and lots of protein, lots of dark leafy greens. Really focus on healthy fats during that first phase. Ovulation, again, like 12 to 18 days. This is again when you're gonna really have that energy to like push through spin class. I'm just saying spin because I went to my first class yesterday. my first class in a long time. Lots of like complex carbs feel really good. Making sure you're really getting a solid breakfast throughout your full cycle, but definitely this phase too. And then your luteal phase, again, something that I really, really want to point out is it's not you, you are hungrier. Especially that deep luteal phase, your body actually needs 200 to 300 extra calories. What do? We don't eat more food, right? That's why we crave more sugar too. Okay, and we crave chocolates because our iron and magnesium levels drop right before we get our period too. So there's lots of things going on, but you don't want to just like not, if you're hungry, please eat. Listen to your body. Like usually like yoga, Pilates, walks, kind of like more restorative, feels a little bit better, depending on where you are in the feel. Okay. All right, we're not gonna get through everything, but when we're eating for our hormones, diet, really working on sleep, sugar, stress connection, improving digestion, supporting your liver, then working with your cycle. So everything I talked about, not that it's last, like you can keep it in your mind, but the foundation is where we want to start. And then obviously lifestyle. And I feel like lifestyle and diet kind of like merge together. I don't know why that's on the bottom, it should be better. All right, so again, blood sugar. Who feels hangry ever? Okay. Okay, so that is your body telling you that your blood sugar is already off balance. Okay, so the goal would be to go through the day without feeling hangry. Is anybody fasting at the moment?
Yeah, I haven't really
ate them today. But if you're feeling hangry, we want to get that blood sugar balanced before you start like experimenting with like, and I'm going to talk about fasting in a second, but this is the biggest signal to your body that like you've got to work on that blood sugar balance. Okay, a lot of women were not eating enough food. I think we've all kind of been, especially if you have a day, right? You're like, oh my god, what did I 7:30? What did I eat today? Right? Like that happens, right? It's just the more that happens, the more that cortisol, that blood sugar is gonna like affect how you feel. But this is so important for PCOS, fertility, perimenopause, menopause, and just like overall feeling like in your body. All right, so every single meal and snack, protein. Okay, plant-based, animal-based, gotta get more protein in. I used to say like 20 to 25 grams per meal. Now it's like, I'm like, get you up to 30 protein. You might even feel better with 40. I feel like 40 is a lot to start with. So maybe you just start at 20 and work your way up, right? But focus on meals. And I'm a big believer in breakfast. If you are feeling stressed, if you are feeling tired and low energy, please get some protein in your body within the first 45 minutes to an hour, even if it's just a handful of nuts. Especially with any sort of like thyroid things going on, like that protein is key for keeping you feeling like really, really nourished.
Is it bad to start with coffee with anything else?
I would really highly recommend doing water. Having some water. water, and have some nuts. If eating breakfast feels so foreign before coffee, just have like a scoop of nut butter or whatever protein. I'm just saying that's because they're usually like easy to like grab, but water, protein, coffee. Coffee might be why you feel up and down all day. I don't want to assume anything, so that's why I say might be.
What's your typical breakfast?
I feel like I go back and forth. I've been really into eggs lately, like I'll do hard boiled eggs with like some avocado, and some like kimchi or sauerkraut lately. I actually love eating burgers for breakfast and like some sweet potatoes and avocado and I'll put some sauerkraut on there. It's funny because I kind of eat dinner for breakfast.
Yeah.
And it really, I feel so much better when I eat like that, yeah. But you can eat,
Dinner for breakfast.
yeah, I sometimes have a turkey burger. I love bison meatballs. They're so yummy and I'll eat that for breakfast. It's wild to me because like I didn't even eat breakfast, you know?
I'll do that. Breakfast for dinner.
I love breakfast for dinner too, yeah. But it's just whatever protein feels, and you probably will notice throughout your cycle what you want more of. Like before I get my period, I like really want these like hearty, like more meat-based breakfasts. And like sometimes I'll do oatmeal and just do lots of nut butter, lots of nuts and seeds. We haven't talked about these items, but yeah. So, but when I eat a hearty breakfast, I do not crave sugar throughout the day. When I don't, I notice a huge difference. And everybody craves sugar, right? Especially tired running around. But when you crave sugar, usually it's because you're not eating enough protein. When you're craving lots of like French fries, love French fries. It's usually that you're not getting enough like healthy fats in. So every craving you have, there's like a reason behind it. There's also emotional reasons and things like that too, but food wise, it's really interesting when you start being like, I'm craving all this sugar, and you look at what you eat the past few days, you're like, oh man, you need to walk it back. Okay, so fasting. We need carbs to have periods. Especially during our weeks, okay? You might attest to this as well, but labs from women that do lots of intermittent fasting during childbearing ages, okay? Don't look great. Some people, I know people that do it and like their like everything, they feel okay. I would say that's not the majority of people that I work with. It doesn't mean you can't try it. It's just like if you're already feeling off, like you need to nourish your body first. Because what I see in conjunction with that is high intensity workouts and fasting. And you're just like draining that cortisol and you're just like draining that progesterone and then you're lots of PMS. What I suggest, because everyone's like, well, what do I do? Eat earlier. I feel like I eat like my grandparents now. I have dinner from like 5 to 6. Maybe 6:30. But I try to eat like 3 hours before I go to bed. Sometimes it's 2, but that's what I've noticed because I also sleep better when I eat earlier. So I turn into my grandparents. Which is not bad. This can change during menopause. None of us are there yet, but this can change during menopause, okay? If you don't have a history of disordered eating, it can be beneficial. If you do, it's probably not gonna be mentally healthy to do that. But no matter what, you should always talk to your doctor. If you're on any medications, you wanna be really, really mindful about that. And then you should test your fasting insulin glucose as well if you're into that. But I would just bring this up because every time I do talk, everyone asks about intermittent fasting. So I figured I would just toss it in there. Okay. In general, trying to eliminate processed foods that have lots of like processed oils and added sugars. Whole foods, I feel like people are like, oh, you want me to shop at Whole Foods? No. Whole Food just means one ingredient. that's it. I feel like, again, so much information out there, and you're like, what do I eat? Lots of variety of fruits and vegetables, it's great for your gut, less fried food, less salt, less sodium, and this is a big one that I get lots of pushback for, but really reducing alcohol. Alcohol is not doing us any favors. It's putting lots of stress on the liver, and if you have any sort of PMS issues, usually that's it. Not the only one, but a big one. All right, again, cravings increase because we're actually, our metabolic rate increases, we're burning more. So your body wants you to feel good and you're not, it's gonna like your serotonin that can actually decrease, which is why the carbs and the sugar like help. So complex carbs. Okay, you can have some sugar, but if you keep eating the sugar, it's gonna like make it. So we talked about this. Again, protein, craving sugar, protein, you can take a picture of this, please. Protein, water, movement, take a break, improve your sleep, manage stress, but start with the first two and then work your way down. Sometimes I'll just like get up and like jump around or like dance a little bit or something if I'm sitting too long and I notice that I'm like starting to like crave sugar. All right, chocolate. Love chocolate. Who likes chocolate? Yay, well, I brought some chocolate. Real chocolate cacao actually has iron and magnesium in it. So your body is very, very smart. Okay, remember that. Because your body will crave exactly what it needs. It usually just craves the unhealthiest version of it. Okay, so that's another reason why to like just pay attention to cravings. So I made these. Look at all this, but I'm just gonna give this to you. Take a picture. You wanna take? You can take one or two. So I usually put shredded coconut in it, but sometimes people don't like a lot of shredded like coconut, so I just put it on top and you can like take it off. You can grab it. Yeah. You just, like, okay. Thank you. I'm like, I'm right on time. Okay. They're super easy to make. I made, I think there are 24 in there. I might have eaten one, but maybe 23. It took me like 7 minutes to do that. Easy. All right, healthy fats. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. There's no healthy fats. And I still unfortunately think that it's gotten a bad reputation still. Like, people are still afraid to eat fat. Healthy fats create cholesterol, and cholesterol actually creates hormones. Okay, it's way more complicated than that, but breaking it down, we need the fat for our body to create that. And I find it's still the #1 thing missing for most of our plates is getting enough of those like healthy fats in there. So I would highly encourage you to eat about 6 tablespoons, like the size of a small avocado, of any sort of healthy fat a day. All right, I'm running out of time. Do you guys have like 5 more minutes?
Yes.
Well, ladies, okay. So seed cycling, and you can take more than one if you want as well. They're very, very rich. So I'll say this about this, right? If you have like the cacao and it's like very satisfying, this 1 or 2 of these usually like will hit that mark and you're like, oh, I feel really good. If I remember way back in the day, I would get like a bag of M&Ms and I'd eat the bag. I'm like, well, I need more. And I eat another bag. So really look if you're buying chocolate bars like 70 lowest, you can mix it like 8% or higher cacao. Like I eat chocolate every day, but I'm like satisfied with like a little piece versus like sometimes I like want all of it, right? But I also noticed that chocolate tastes better to me like the day before I get my period. Right?
I would agree.
Like yeah. All like senses are more alert too, I feel like, so it's really interesting. So I love chocolate. That's my take on chocolate.
You know what's irritating? How much like men joke about this, and it's like It's literally biological. It's not a joke, like, it's not our fault. That's so annoying.
I mean, I think yes, they definitely joke about it, but I think it's just because, like, it's one of those things where I want my husband to buy me chocolate.
Yeah,
Like, bring it, he knows it has to be in the house.
yes, I just feel like it goes hand in hand with the mood swings, like, it's like, oh, but you're about to get your period, and I'm like, I can murder you. Like,
Oh,
if you're going to die.
But, you know what I do? Put my period on my husband's calendar. Yeah,
So, that's smart.
because every time I get my period, the day before, I'm like, you're being so mean to me. No lie. Month, I'm like, my calendar, my period on your calendar, you know the day before to leave me alone.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Gentle.
Yeah. So, put it on his calendar and be like, listen, just leave me be. Okay? Maybe that's the only thing you take from tonight. But it works because I'm like, just look at your calendar. I'm like, I'm not being mean to you. I just like cannot have you touch me.
So we're always gonna have some kind of,
I just feel like when your body is about to like bleed, right? Your body is using so much energy, right? To kind of go through that process, that everything else is like extra, right? Like the extra touching, the extra like neediness, the extra, like, so it's not even necessarily like you're gonna get rid of it. I think it's also your body's way of like protecting you and being like, okay, like, it's resting time, it's nesting time, like,
go away.
yeah, like, however you wanna phrase that to your significant other. But I really do feel like it is in a way your body like preparing you for like the next day. I mean, back in the day, the red tent, I don't care about the red tent. Like women were, everybody, when they got their period, went into the red tent in the community, and you're with all the other women that were also on their period. You were resting, you were taking care of each other, you were probably drinking lots of good teas. You were not doing housework, you were not working, you're not taking care of the children, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
What happened to that?
right? Yeah.
Might already come, yeah.
But that's what our body needs. And we joke about it, right? Because it's like, how could that ever happen? But like, this is why you are like, get away from it. Because like, you really don't want anybody near you.
So
Yeah. And that's when you like start charting and tracking and like, you know, the rhythm of your body and you know that you're gonna feel this certain way. You just like, don't make plans the day before you're gonna get a period. Right? You're gonna cancel anyways. Might as well just move it. Or you can just like warn people. And I don't even think it's not, my husband and I joke about it because I'm just like, dude, this is what I do, like, move your calendar. But I think it helps with when I'm being like short with him. Cause I'm like, it's not you, I don't even know why you're taking this on. But they do, so we'll let them, whatever. But it's really, I just think for me, it's like, well, I told you, so I did my job.
yeah.
If you ever meet my husband. Not that I'm training him, but like, you know, and I'm teaching my boys, I have 3.5-year-old twins, and I'm like teaching them, like, they follow me to the bathroom, they know when I have my period, like, they know mommy's a little bit more tired today, like, I think it's an important thing to like involve all the males in our lives. Right? That's how we're gonna create change. On that note, seed cycling, I think, is another way of being in tune with your body. Again, start with the foundation. That is the most important thing, but this is something you can definitely like add in to your life. If you're charting or tracking, you know, when you're, we didn't even talk about basal body, I don't have enough time for that, but like, you're charting or tracking, right? Ovulation is kind of like when you switch, but day one, You wanna like support the follicular phase, estrogen phase, so flax seeds and pumpkin seeds can be really helpful. And if you don't have a regular cycle, or if you don't have a cycle, you can actually do this like with the moon cycles. You can just Google it, that's what I do, what phase of moon we're in. I wish I was like more in sync with that. And then you just switch to sunflower and sesame seeds. My friend has a company that I just buy the seeds, they're already brown, they come once a month and I put them on different types of food. And it takes about 3 cycles to notice the difference. And it might be subtle, okay? It takes time because you're getting nutrients in your body, right? You're getting magnesium, you're getting zinc, you're getting some omega fats. And again, like, yeah, we can like sync with the moon too, which is pretty cool. And then we're not gonna do a deep dive on this, but you definitely wanna spend time improving your digestion. These are just some small things you can do to start. And then check out Carrie. Then we definitely want to support the liver. I always say we spend a lot of time dumping on the liver, not just with alcohol, but there's so many toxins and chemicals, coming back to that tampon conversation. So we just wanna like support the liver as much as we possibly can. So taking an hour to go through, I ran out of time, but something I think is really, really important is that even before we leave our house in the morning and being exposed, the easiest thing you can do is not walk through your house with your shoes on. Seriously. So if you're trying to reduce toxins, just take your shoes off in the garage or outside. Don't bring them into the house. And that can be a quick, easy shift that actually will help a lot with your body. You don't have to buy like a water filtration system. You can if you want, but you don't have to, you know, like there's so many things you can do. Start with taking your shoes off.
Can you explain that, just like briefly, like, how does that eliminate toxins?
So, because you're walking all over the place, stepping in who knows what, right? Oil, all the things that are on the roads, and then you're bringing it to the house and you're walking in your shoes, and then maybe you're walking barefoot, and then it's coming into your body like through your feet. Yeah. I know, it's interesting, right? But all the studies say that that's the easiest thing you can do. And I'm like, that, just get a little shoe rack.
Yeah.
As a reminder, yeah. Alright, I love the EWG.org too, if you wanna like check out products and different things. I always say if you're trying to switch out products, whatever you use the most of. I wash my hands 1,000 times a day, so that was the first thing that I switched out. I've yet to find a good mascara, so I barely wear mascara, so that's okay, right? This can also feel overwhelming, so again, like, just make small switches, like, oh, you're done with that shampoo? Try another one, don't throw everything away. And then go spend like $1,000 at the store, right? Switch things out as much as you can slowly. Okay, I went 15 minutes over, so sorry about that. Any questions on anything we talked about? I know we've talked like throughout, but anything that was like you were thinking about that you want to like chat with me?
I have several, but I probably should ask you after. So.
Totally up to you. But thinking back to like how you felt, like what that challenge was, right? Think about what really resonated, like as we were talking, like what was like, oh, like this could be an easy thing for me to implement. I really highly encourage you to start with that. Okay. Then make that part of your new lifestyle and then add something into that. Okay. What felt like it could be not easy, nothing is easy, right? But what could be something that like you think could be helpful that didn't feel like too overwhelming?
Taking magnesium, eating something before my coffee.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like that.
I've already been implementing because I've been meeting with Carrie, so I've
Yeah.
been doing a lot of avocado.
Oh, good.
And yum.
Okay, my secret to avocado is I love in the morning. I love squeezing lemon on it and mushing it up and doing like a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper, kind of like a guacamole but without the onions and tomatoes and such. And for whatever reason, because I keep like avocado sometimes in the morning and.
By itself,
Yeah, but I like something like lemon.
Do you just like eat it with like a spoon?
Yeah, like I
Oh,
usually
okay.
will do it like when I make eggs or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes I'll like mix it in, but I even like to put lemon on my eggs in the morning,
See.
like the tartness of it. Feels good to me. Especially in the winter, I like that like tart. In the morning.
Everything vegan seasoning and lemon on others.
Ooh, yeah,
It's not as
so
salty.
yeah.
anyone else want to share what they want to try?
I'm gonna do the shoes.
Awesome,
I like them.
I love it.
And there won't be dirt through all the house. So I like that.
Exactly, less cleaning. I should have done that first.
Yeah.
No problem.
Definitely like eating coffee.
Yeah.
And I think too, just like for me, I know that like if I consistently even just like walk or like move my body that I feel better and yet I still don't like do it. And so I think just like even like reducing the stress, like I think it helps so much more than I'm even aware of.
Yes.
And that's why in return I feel better.
Like especially on days when you wake up, like, I don't know about you all, but listen to this morning, nothing was going on, I just woke up feeling a little bit more like amped up and like anxious first, whatever, and I just went for a walk, I'm like, I just have to walk this out. Let's listen to my favorite podcast, came home, and then, oh, okay. Just
Do this.
needed
Yeah.
like that movement to settle whatever was happening in my body.
We do take magnesium for sure, and then all the things for like blood sugar.
Yeah.
Cause I'm sure that's a big part of if I do have these.
Yes, 100%, that's where I would start.
Is there anything that you would recommend for us to like check our, like I know they have those, I can't even remember the name of the brand, but like you
Oh,
wear
like a
it.
continuous glucose monitor?
Yeah, like what,
So yes, like that could be beneficial if we're
Yeah.
gonna go like next levels,
Right.
but honestly, like if you do the water, food, and coffee,
yeah,
you
it's
will,
gonna go ahead and feel better.
you will, like, I want you all to email me in 2 weeks and be like, okay.
Yeah.
That would be like the best place to like start and then build on top of that, okay? That continuous glucose monitor, I think can be helpful, especially with PCOS, because they're depending on your body, like sweet potatoes might be totally fine, or they might totally spike your blood sugar when you have PCOS. I don't wanna single you out, but like when we were talking about it, in general, if you just balance, you'll notice less sugar cravings, more energy, better quality sleep. And if you're still feeling off, then maybe invest in that, sure, because they're like $2 to $100.
Right, sure.
Yeah.
I said to go from, nothing to a string, so.
Right.
There's something scary.
Very, like, build that foundation, like, to your house, like, to your health, because that honestly is the most important, like, you're drinking enough water. Are you eating enough? Are you getting enough protein? Like, maybe you're drinking coffee too late in the day. Some studies show that caffeine can stay in your body, women's bodies, for up to 24 hours. Some people, right? Everyone has different sensitivity to it. So it might just be like, okay, my last coffee is at 9 a.m. Like, oh, I'm sleeping better.
Right.
Yeah. I know.
It's so crazy.
I know.
I'm not taking your coffee away, but it's like water, food, and coffee. But notice how you feel once you have less of it, notice how you actually feel on it. You're like, oh, whoa, I didn't even know I was jittery. Right. I didn't know I felt like that.
I quit it and I didn't think I felt bad at all. And my functional doctor was like, stop drinking it right now. Like, just stop
Yeah,
it.
especially with low
And I
cortisol.
did, and I was like, I feel so much better. Like, I was crazy. I didn't think I felt bad at all. Like, I didn't believe her. I was like, you're I did. I was like, that's serious. I was like, you're crazy. Like, but I was like, fine, I'm paying all my money to see you, so I guess I'll do it. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Mhm.
So, and now I've been drinking again, but I always eat and I always drink water beforehand, and I'm not having all of it.
Yeah, especially with the cortisol, like caffeine.
That's what she said. That's what she wanted me to quit it totally. She was like, you need to.
And again, you can like slowly cut back.
Yeah.
Some people do really well cold turkey, okay?
I did hot tea that
Yeah,
had a little
hot
bit of
tea.
caffeine, so I felt like I wasn't,
Yeah.
Yeah. Dying at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
But guess what gives you energy? I gotta talk like basic.
Oh, okay.
Caffeine.
Water.
That's true. Yeah.
So if you're waking up, when you wake up, every one of us wakes up dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, you have literally zero amount of energy. So if you just wake up and have water and then food, energy, right? You might notice that you actually don't need the coffee. You can just enjoy the coffee. And that's two different things. Thank you so much for being here. If anybody wants to like talk to me, you can definitely sign up. You can schedule tonight, if you just like already have the date and time you want to talk to, or you can go online. I have a blog with different recipes. There's recipes on there. And then also you can sign up for like my free gift if you want to get some more details. And I'll be here after to like answer, there's probably personal questions you don't want to like share with the world. But thanks so much for being here. And if you need any support, just reach out anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I could talk for hours, so sorry. I'm over.